Truthfully Speaking Grace is a global podcast dedicated to connecting, celebrating, and inspiring listeners with empowering conversations. Join host Agatha Corbin as she gracefully builds with real people, sharing real stories, and unlocking real enlightening truth. Welcome. This is Truthfully Speaking Grace podcast with your amazing host, Agatha Corbin, giving you real conversation with powerful topics and connecting with real inspirational people from all over the world. So sit back, relax, and let's get this podcast started. You look like... Can't hear you.
Hey, ladies. What's up? Got me on a Friday. I'm ready to settle down and barbecue and fry some fish.
This won't take long, Bo. This won't take long. Because I'm still in work mode. I had to turn off the HR manager hat and hurry up and be the hostess. So bear
I'm feeling you.
This is Demisha.
Hello.
I know. We kind of met the other day.
Right. I know, right? See, while you're preparing your barbecue, you could be marinating while we're doing this. Your meat.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to mislead you, but I barbecue.
You said, I'll barbecue.
All this fat body, girl. I can barbecue.
Well, see, you in Columbus, so they ain't helping us in Dayton right about now. So,
girl, that little hour ride is worth your time. What you talking about? But you got to sign a waiver.
Oh, yeah,
You gotta sign
I got mask and a temperature thing.
No, I'm talking about to eat my food.
Oh, okay.
I don't want y'all call me at 3 a.m. talking about I want some more of them ribs. Oh, we're a little early. Okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure me and her were set up right, and you just.
Yeah, me too. Well, I hear her clearly now.
Yes, because she's here live with me. This is my Demisha.
I gotta figure out how to move my pic. Okay, I did it. Because it was right in the middle of her face. Okay, I got y'all now. Any plans for the weekend?
I'm getting ready for an audit at my day job, so I will be working from home on getting ready for an audit.
You're not doing anything for the weekend?
Oh, I got myself into a project.
What kind of project?
A rehab house.
We're sitting here rehabbing our house. I'm working from home. And my wife is like, baby, we need to replace the toilet. But baby, I'm working though. You ain't working. Come do this. We did everything, but we messed up our kitchen floor.
Really?
Yeah, I smoked cigars, and in the winter, I'd be at the door, and the wind would blow it back in, so we had little holes. She sanded it and put some wood putty and tried to stain it, but those spots are there. I think we're going to have to replace the floor. What do you think?
Maybe just cut a section out.
Oh, it's too big.
And here comes Jerome.
Okay, it's too big. Way too big.
Okay.
That light okay? You can see it's on the dark one. Jerome? Is he there? Oh, there he is. Hi, Jerome.
How you doing?
We're better now. Welcome. See, now we have her here.
live and in the flesh.
Yeah.
How you ladies doing?
It's
Thank
Friday.
You. Yes, it is. Happy Friday.
Though I still have to work, so.
So
we're
do we.
going to have a happy Friday.
Yeah, I was just telling Barry at my day job, we're going to be audited, 2 big audits, so I have to prepare for that. Yeah.
Well, my air went out, so we might be interrupted by my HVAC guy. He said he'll be by this afternoon. So.
Oh, that gotta happen. Hey, you gotta say, like the church, like I gotta get with y'all.
I gotta let him in. He shouldn't have to come inside a whole lot, but I gotta let him do his thing.
You can do the excuse, like, okay,
Oh yeah.
Peace out. You gotta have air.
The Lord knows my heart.
This is gonna be a fun podcast.
I've been sitting around with a tank top on. I put this shirt on just for this. So.
Okay, well, we feel real special because you ain't got no air, man. Here for you, Jerome.
Yes.
If you gotta step aside, we understand. I'll play it off.
Yeah, I'll keep it as brief as possible. I just hope he comes soon. Soon.
Well, ain't nothing like being in summer and no air. I'm just thinking about that.
You are kidding. Yeah, I don't know how people used to do it. I mean, I've lived in a house with no air before in the summer, but once you get air,
there's no going back.
There's no going back.
Well, at least we ain't got to go out and pick nothing.
Yeah, well, true.
With no air conditioning.
Right.
Hey, the dorms at Jackson State did not have air, and Mississippi gets hot.
Oh, you went
real
to
hot.
Jackson? Oh, yes.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't broke, it was non-existent. Yes.
Well,
it's not like I haven't done it, but I don't like it.
Hey, man. Hey, that's because your football team wasn't no good. I mean, they couldn't get no money. I mean,
they trying to stop stuff on the podcast. I'm trying to make this light as possible.
But the battle is the band, and the sonic boom of the South is the bomb.
Yeah, but so is Grambling.
You're gonna get into the HBCU wars.
Yeah. You know, we've been trying to do stuff with the HBCUs.
I know, yay! And this is the event. I'm going to be sending you this information. It's on the 26th. This is the wrong flyer, but on September 26th, we're doing the virtual youth summit, and I'm already got 50 youth, young adults and teenagers already registered.
Yeah, we had talked about.
All right.
So
yeah, wonderful.
I would love to, if you want to be a part of it. This is why I would love to have the SBA logo, because I do have a sponsor page, but
I know she didn't throw that little fishing line out there, did she? Again.
I'm still a businesswoman.
Yeah. Well.
You don't have to give no money, just your presence.
Wait. When our deputy district director gets on, bring it up to him. Bring it up to him.
You know,
me and Jerome be like, we don't know what she talking about. You handle that.
Hey, no shame in my game. Your air? Getting your air?
No, not yet. I just have my wife to, ask her to call him, use the charm thing. Sometimes you got to switch it. Sometimes I got to put the Mr. Jones voice on him. And sometimes you got to do the charm thing.
Good grasshopper.
When it's hot, you need the man's voice. I don't care what y'all talking about. Y'all get over here now.
See, y'all gonna make this so live. You definitely gotta be on that next podcast. This is why I do it, just to, for the fun of it and for, people to tell their truth and enjoy themselves. So this is pretty cool.
Well, I love it because you're highlighting a business where the business can talk about good, the bad, and the ugly as they went through, and what they did, how they got through it. And then, of course, at the end of it, we're a resource saying, we don't care where you're at. We can help you no matter what stage you're in. So it works perfectly for us.
Yay. Oh, man.
Jerome, where is your phone?
Welcome to Speaking Grace, Truthfully Speaking Grace podcast. We're here today with our woman-owned business owner. Her name is Demisha Webster. from Styles on Wheels. She came here personally to my studio to talk about her truth as a business owner. We also have the Small Business Administration Ohio area reps here on the podcast. I'm going to let them, the three gentlemen, to introduce themselves and tell the audience what they do in relations to SBA in our area. Barry?
Good afternoon. My name is Barry Peel. I'm an economic development specialist. My job is to market the resources that are available for free to help develop businesses to where they want to go.
Okay. Jerome?
Yes, my name is Jerome Jones. I am a lender relations specialist with the Small Business Administration. Under normal times, I talk to lenders about doing SBA loans and increasing their SBA activity. During the time of COVID, I do whatever's required.
So you're about the money. So we need to talk after the show. No. We need to talk after the show. And Terry?
Well, thank you very much. I want to say again, this is my first podcast, actually. So excited to be here, Agatha. My name is Terry Bolden. I am the District Deputy Director for the Columbus District SBA office. We cover over 60 counties here in Ohio, and we pretty much everything south of the Turnpike, all counties from there. We help assist businesses, both with economic development, business development, and as you said, where's the money? Labor relations. So we are a staff of over 15 individuals. Our director, Everett Waddell, leads our team. And again, our passion is basically to help businesses find opportunities and be successful.
Well, so you're their boss. So thank you for coming on and taking that time out.
As I say, I work for them.
For everybody.
I work for them, so don't believe it.
Oh, can we get a recording of that?
It is recorded, gentlemen and ladies. Again, my name's Agatha Corbin, and I'm the founder and the crazy one that decided to go down this venture of listening to everyone's truth. I want to talk about a special business owner by the name of Demisha Webster, who has been a part of my business professional life ever since she was a teenager, 17. And I want her to tell her truth as a business owner, as a single mom, as an expanded business owner that's now taking Styles on Wheels along with her nonprofit venture to that next level. And the audience, you're going to get a treat because we're going to allow Ms. Demisha to ask questions to our SBA reps in relation to, being a woman-owned business and what to look for, how to expand, what are some of the things and certifications that she may want to explore. We also want to say that this is not going to be just the first podcast with SBA. So Terry, you might be asked to go back again. We're going to do another one in the next few weeks to expand to talk about the EIDL loan, the PP loan, about forgiveness, what that process looks like after all of that has happened. I know August 8th was the deadline, but I'm going to allow this team to come back to talk more about how to maintain their business with that. Is that okay, gentlemen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
All righty. So the floor is to you, Demisha. Can you kind of introduce who you are and why you started down this path of being a stylist? One of the baddest stylists, of course, in the nation. Thank you. How you started down that journey?
I started out down that journey. Well, I don't know if everyone remembers the Jerry Curl phase. I was 13, and when we went from Jerry Curls to relaxers, my hair had broke off, of course. Got teased because I looked like a little boy, and it affected my self-esteem. So I'm like, what can I do? I want to fix this. So I would work on myself, play with my grandmother's curling irons, and then I started doing my friend's hair, family hair, and I really, really liked it because I love the end result of the before and after when people were smiling and like some women would be in tears because how good they looked and how much better they felt after getting their hair done. And I was just a teenager, so I had the gift, what they say, the where you can look at something and kind of replicate it.
Yeah.
So I would just like look at hair magazines, Ebony magazine, Jet magazine, and like, wow, they're so pretty. How can I do that? So later on after high school, I went to I wrote in Carousel Beauty College because I'm like, I want to learn how to do finger waves next.
Okay,
Yeah.
she's dating us, finger waves, Jerry curls. I don't know about y'all, but that's kind of dating some things.
They're back now.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so with that, I started at Sinclair in Ohio, ended up moving to Jersey, completed my cosmetology license there, and from there, I got behind the chair and started doing my thing and making money and doing something that I love to do. So I have a really strong passion for hair, fashion, things like that, and so I was able to make money doing something that I love.
Okay. And how, when you became a stylist and got your cosmetology license, what were some of the barriers that you ran into in building this business? And this is about keeping the truth. So please, this is not about offensive or non-offensive, but just I need you to tell that truth because I know that there are other stylists out there and other business owners who have that creativity and they want to push and birth this, and then boom, they run into an obstacle. So
I had lots of obstacles. Booth rent versus commission. So commission, you're working for someone, and I've always had an entrepreneur spirit. I sold nail laters and candy at school in junior high, so I knew I had got the concept of getting something at wholesale and reselling it and making a profit. Even though it was, I got nail laters for 10 cents, I made a quarter, so I had a 15 cent profit, and I had enough to go back and get more. So I understood that. Then the hair, that came in. So well, not having enough money to get my own salon. I didn't understand business. I just knew how to make money. Marketing was different then. So those were some of the obstacles, getting the business plan together, understanding some of the definitions of what this stuff meant. Because like, I'm a single mother of 3 and I have my youngest son is autistic. So it's challenging, but it's also awesome because God put me in a position. Evidently, he felt like I could do it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show my children entrepreneurship, leave something behind for them, and just start a legacy. So I started going to school for business management at Sinclair, and I started learning. And with education is very important, but the peers and the people that I met was so much powerful. I met a 25-year accountant. I met people in marketing in different areas of life in different ages, and I was able to absorb so much information, and I took it and applied it to my business.
Okay.
So but going to school, being a mom, trying to do hair,
so
I had a lot to juggle.
How was that juggling? What was your truth in that with your children? Because they, like me, your kids grew with the business.
Yeah.
So tell me the highs and the lows of that quickly.
You want to go high first or low first? Some of the highs, it felt rewarding, self-rewarding. My kids had somebody to look up to. I wanted to be the best mother I could be. I was a young mom. I had my first child at 17, so I didn't want to be a statistic, a single mother, drop out. I graduated, got my trade, went to college, and the fight within that, just the scrutiny of people telling me you're not gonna make it. Yeah. You can't do this with 3 kids. I went through, some domestic violence issues where I had to move and relocate and start all over again. So it was things like that in the midst of, now I moved out of town. Now I have to start building new clientele, going to the grocery store, passing out flyers. I had to push myself to talk to people because that's the number one thing in business is building a relationship. So I can't be afraid to talk to someone to let them know who I am and what I do. So I don't know, something in me just is like, I can't give up. Looking at my children, I can't let them see me break. I got to show them something. I have to be better than what I came up with.
That's true. That's the kind of truth that a lot of business owners, particularly us women, single moms, is a lot of, and single dads. I got a lot of clientele that are also single dads that sometimes you may feel like the business and the work and all of that, you can't get to the next level. But if you make your kids a part of that team and part of that effort, oh my gosh, you can be a Demisha Webster or whoever else to grow your business. So I'm glad you're here to tell your truth, that your children were a part of that journey. Kind of tell me about Styles on Wheels. How did Styles on Wheels as a business model came about?
It actually came about, I had an invention. I traveled, I started getting into hair shows because, again, I wanted to get out there, let people know about what I do, which salon I'm at. And we would travel to Detroit, Atlanta, LA, New York, and showcase hairstyles and be in the show. So every time we came through the airport, all my products were still out of the bag, gel. You know, we have spent all this money on products and it would be, you know, from baggage getting thrown around. So I said, I need some type of case where I can travel with and my stuff's intact. So actually, my grandfather, I went to him with the idea. I drew out a little bootleg sketch, my blueprint.
You made it happen.
Yeah. So I'm like, Granddad, can you help me build a prototype? So we started working on that. And once I started seeing how much it was costing for patent attorneys and, you know, to get the intellectual property rights and things like that, it was very expensive. And I didn't have the money at the time. So, you know, some of the struggles with being a single parent, I didn't have good credit. You know, I didn't have financial literacy and, you know, money management. So those are some of the things that I had to go back and fix in order to get in a position to even be able to get a loan or get resources to get the patent, you know. So there I started a business plan. And as I was developing the business plan, I'm you know, God just blessed me with the idea. I'm very spiritual, and when it comes, it comes. I might get it at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I got something in specific, and I saw details of this business, and so I love poetry, so I would make up little gimmicks, and you know, if getting to the salon won't do, call us, we come to you, and that's how it came about. Literally, it was a vision given to me, so I feel it is my call and duty is to carry it out, and from there, I started off with my little minivan and put a logo on there. Going to the homebound, what could I do to be different? How can I separate myself from salons and other stylists? And I'm like, well, I'm gonna go to people who can't get out. I'm gonna come to you. You don't have to wait in the salon all day. You know, you might be as yourself a busy woman, corporate mother, corporate woman, business mom, busy mom, housewives, people who are sick and shut in that need these services. They can't shampoo their hair because they can't lift their hands up. You know what I mean? Stroke victims and things like that. So I'm like, how can I? That was how I was able to help. I'm an empath, so I love helping people.
Okay.
So it just all tied in together.
So tell me, what are some of, when you were in the Ohio area, I know that there were some organizations and consultants that were able to help you. Can you, well, tell me first of all, some of your good experience with trying to get that help about Styles on Wheels, and then some of the bad and the good on those agencies or businesses that were able to help you.
Okay, well, the good, very good is Integrity and CDCRC. The guy has been my client since I was 17. She let me get on her head and trusted me with her hair. And I knew that she was just a phenomenal business woman. And I'm like, let me go to her and see, I want to do this. How can you, I need to help. What I need to do? Can you help me out? And you really like helped me with the fundraisers. Remember we did the t-shirts and different things like that. So we did fundraising. I got a lot of help with Integrity. They really
that's Katrina Wilson,
yes,
the
Katrina.
Integrity Group.
Yes.
We did a lot of TA,
yes.
business development, and working with you on marketing,
yes,
and things like that. Tell me about a not so good experience or other places when you, because when doing traveling business back in that time was not looked upon as hot, you know, or profitable.
Right.
So kind of tell your experience. You don't have to name the organization,
okay.
But you can just say.
Well, at the time you weren't allowed to be a mobile stylist. You had to only be in a salon, brick and mortar. So I had went to the board and they weren't going to allow that. It is the law is passed now, so you can have it here legally now. But I had went to I went to SCORE, took my business plan down, looking for funding, and they really kind of like laughed about the idea. They didn't really see that it would be beneficial, or like, no woman's gonna get on the bus with, with dirty wheels and this big, raggedy bus and get a hairdo, and I don't, I really was crushed by that, but they didn't see the vision that I saw. I'm seeing big RV. I mean, red carpet rolled out. You know what I mean? People want to be treated good. When you look good, you feel good, and I want to make that experience good. So, in my eyes, I saw glamour and glitz, and people getting on and the convenience. They're excited, like, oh, they're pulling up. This sounds I want feel something here. I'm seeing this, but I wasn't able to really convey that to them, so they didn't see the vision. But I just was determined not to give up because this haunts me every night. I have a plethora of paper and pencil ideas that I've written down, and sometimes I get frustrated and kind of discouraged because it was always a roadblock. Your credit's not good. We don't think this is going to work. You have to have this. You should have been in business this amount of years. So it was things like that, like investors, they didn't believe in it. They couldn't see it. So it wasn't really something tangible. It wasn't really a tangible item. It's a service. So they like, nah, so
So I'm gonna just real quick ask one of the panelists from SBA, when you hear these stories, have you seen a shift or a change when it comes to new innovative ideas, when it comes to things in the service industry? Any of you can answer that question.
Well, I guess I would just add just briefly, if you think about where we are, this whole crisis, it forced businesses to pivot. And actually, Demisha, you were kind of ahead of the curve.
yes.
I mean, when you talk about, providing services directly to you, right now, if companies didn't have a right kind of presence on the websites, or if they could sell their products, directly online, you were pretty much put out of business completely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Demisha, I will say a lot of companies right now, because of the crisis and because of how this whole lending process has kind of changed, and I know Jerome could definitely speak to that more, businesses are pivoting and they're trying to become more creative because of where we are in our country right now.
Absolutely.
And I can say that from my days at the SBDC, I have done one mobile hair salon. I've probably looked at 6, but only one had the wherewithal to actually, and the fortitude to actually go forth and make it happen. It's can be a daunting task to do all of the things necessary to make your dream happen. And I commend you for having done it ahead of the curve, actually.
I appreciate that.
So now that you haven't given up, can you kind of share your truth on some of the highs and some of the wonderful clients or projects you've done with Styles on Wheels beyond Ohio?
Beyond Ohio, I worked the Atlanta Brown and Brother Hair Show. I did the New York Jacob Javits Show. I got an opportunity to be an educator. So we were educating. I worked with the program called Magical Moments, a nonprofit in Louisville, and they gave back prom dresses and hairdos and makeup. So that was a televised. That was an opportunity for TV. Minority Entrepreneur Showcase that will come on. I got to be on there, showcasing my business. So I was just calling up the newspaper and different people in media and television and asking like, hey, I got this business and a door open. I've worked with Magical Moments, Touch Twice Clinic in Portland, and it's a place to help the homeless. They provide food, things like that. I came in and I think I did about 32 haircuts in 2 days, and it was all free services. So I do donate services to nonprofits. I've got an opportunity to work with Goldie Taylor from MSNBC. I've worked with some celebrities, Keisha Cole's sister Neffy, Frankie Neffy. I've styled her hair. R&B diva Yo-Yo and Michelle A. I've styled their hair. So that was in Atlanta. So I really love the networking and the the atmosphere of Atlanta, the go get it, the hustle spirit.
The hustle,
But
yeah.
there's opportunity there because I also work in film. So not only will I, have my bus just for the homebound, I'll be able to pull up on set and get on, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, do it.
yeah. And that way I don't have to lug all these bags and suitcases and, mirrors break in and things like that. So, and it's kind of wear and tear on your shoulder and back. So, but I just want to make the service more accessible and more convenient for everybody. But yes, I got to work on that.
Can I
Go ahead.
Can I ask you, Demisha? So who has inspired you the most? Because I can see that hustle and grind in you. So I mean, it's kind of like in us, right? But then we just transform it into who we inspire to be like. So I'm curious on that end.
Madam C.J. Walker, because she went and made door-to-door sales, and they recently came out with I think it was on Netflix, a story on her, and how she had a hair issue in the beginning when she started, and the lady was like, they're not gonna want you to sell. She didn't want her to sell her products because she was darker skinned, and it had nothing to do with that, So she had problems with her hair, her self-esteem, but she got it out the mud. She made door-to-door sales, and she built her business up. And I have some products that I started, and the chemist is in Louisville, Kentucky. The same chemist, David Self, he mixed products for Madam C.J. Walker. So divine connection is definitely there. And that just another thing to let me know that I'm on the right path. My little sewing edge control, and I have a product for men called Super Fresh. So it's for beards and twists and locks. So that's just so
go
Super Fresh. So again, like you were saying, when business does get slow and the season slow down, we go through those periods. And like now with the crisis, I have lashes, we sell bundles of hair, pillowcases, products, so things that they can kind of buy and keep themselves up until they're able to get a service again. So not only just service, I'll provide products as well. So did I kind of get off of that, or is that?
No, but I have to do this disclaimer because anytime we're doing something like this and a business shows a product or anything like that, SBA does not endorse any one individual business or another. We have
Thank
to
you
do
for that
as a
disclaimer. So let's talk about the COVID, the crisis. Thanks, Terry, for mentioning that, because that was our next lead in. Tell me, how are you functioning in expanding Styles on Wheels during COVID?
Actually, I really can say during COVID, I have actually picked up a lot more business because people, they can't get out, they can't get to the salons are closed, and it's hard. It's open back up, 50% now, I believe. So the spacing and you being able to get an appointment is really kind of hard. So actually, my phone has been ringing a lot more. So I just took some safety, the same safety precautions as a salon. Is we got hand sanitizers, masks. I come in with.
This is not a product. This is just demonstration.
But just to let you know, to protect myself and to protect others, because we are going into different environments. Disposable cape. So I bought all those type of things to make sure that we were all protected. I still check temperatures, ask questions, really pretty much like the salon, but they love it. It's like picking up more because they really can't get to the salon.
Because there's a lot, it's a waiting list just to get someone locally to do your hair. And so you're able to kind of come to us,
right?
In a safe manner, and you stand safe. And like Terry, was it you that said that during this COVID, everyone has had to kind of shift and make it happen some kind of way, just like Truthfully Speaking Grace. I was a travel podcast. Well, I have to travel home and bring everyone here to me, right. But you got to make it happen in order to go to that next level. Absolutely. So how were some of the questions? I know financial literacy, which your CDCRC has kind of helped you with, but now you want to expand it. Maybe there's some things SBA, maybe this is where Jerome or Barry can kind of chime in. Just in general, what are some of the things financial literacy wise that a small business owner need to look at, even during this crisis time, to get to that next level?
So I think you should always have a plan. You know, when I talk about business plans, when I was at the SBDC, everyone knew as a startup, okay, yeah, I have to have a business plan because the lender's going to want to see that. That's not the reason you do a business plan. You do a business plan for yourself to make sure you're on the right track. Is this something you really think you want to do? Once you realize you're not going to be a millionaire next year, are you still going to want to do it? So I tell businesses, once you make it, if you're fortunate enough to make it the next 3 to 5 years, you need to do it again. And a lot of the time they would get offended. Well, I don't need a business plan. I'm already in business. I'd say, you know what? You need a strategic plan. So yeah, it's the same doggone thing. It's just how do you get through the next 3 to 5 years, and then you keep doing it. And I always told my clients to go back every year, look at what worked, look at what didn't, adjust, pivot, and move forward. So that's one of the things you really, really should do. Always be willing to adjust your plan and move forward. A business plan isn't a one-time thing. It's an evolving, living thing that always changes.
It's like a roadmap.
It is.
That's what we tell people. It's a roadmap, and you got to be flexible. Do you think, back to you, Jerome, in a business plan, yeah, you're doing it for yourself, but let's talk about those lenders and investors. Don't you think that the first thing that because I used to do what you do, they go to, the first thing is the financials. Can you kind of talk about some of the things that us as small business owners need to start looking at on our financials?
Absolutely. So the first thing a lender wants to do is make sure that you can repay them. They don't care about your marketing and all of that if your numbers don't demonstrate that you can repay them.
Okay, say that again. I'm big on that. Say that again.
Yeah. The first thing a lender wants to know is, can you repay them? I'm a reformed banker, so that was the first thing I do. I would flip to the financial section. Yeah. If that section said you're going to lose money for a year, I didn't have to read the other 100 pages because it didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
So, make sure that you have that outline. That was one of the main things that I did as a business advisor at the SBDC, is look at the numbers. We have to have those numbers tight, and they have to be credible, and they have to be based on credible information, particularly if you're a startup and you didn't have anything historically to go on. So do that first. And this is another part of that that's often overlooked, is looking at the personal credit side of things. Because again, if you're going to a lender, that plays into the equation. So you could have a business plan by Warren Buffett. If you've got a 400 credit score, the answer is going to be a hard no. Right. So, you really have to make sure that that is part of the equation that you look at. So I tell everyone, let's look at those two aspects of it first. Then we can look at the marketing, because you have to let people know that your product exists, and you have to look at the market to make sure that it fits in. Where does it fit in? Is it a good product here? It may work in Chicago, New York, LA, but will it work in the area that you're located in? So all of those things go into it as well.
Okay. And if I could add one other thing,
please.
Your guest had said that she went to a score office and they kind of laughed at her. But I mean, in hindsight, we could see that she was really much further ahead. I mean, she's really set up for what's going on now. But back then, they had no idea. So when you are talking to these banks or lenders, sometimes you have to educate them on what it is that you are going to do.
That's a good one, Barry. Educate them. Educate them about your mission and vision.
Well,
right?
that's what a business plan will come up where, you can instantly go to your marketing side and say that, there are so many people that are displaced and at home or had strokes and cannot get out, and I can reach, there's 100,000 of them there, and I can reach 15 of them, and that's going to pay me X.
There you go. The simple as yes. Yes.
Right.
And while you're still talking, Barry, let me ask you, what about some other resources that you think that SBA is in partnership with for, particularly, I know you service everybody, men, women, all of that, but she is a minority woman-owned business. What are some of the resources that someone like her should tap into, whether it be in Ohio or on a national basis? Can you just throw that out there for us.
Sure. Well, SBA is blind. We don't care if you're black, white, green, LGBT, veteran. If you're talking about a business, you can be Asian, Native American, we don't care. We have a set of resources that we fund. One of them you use, which was SCORE. And then we also have a women's business center. We have the Small Business Development Center, which is really our biggest network. And then we have a Veteran Business Outreach Center.
Okay.
All their services are for free. And really, if you can start with any one of them or all of them at the same time, and you can really go through the path and learn, you learn a lot of things that your guest had to learn through life, you know? So by the time she had got the SCORE, she had already had a business plan. Her mind was wrapped around the business plan, but not necessarily on how to speak about the business. And SCORE was like, no, you can't do that. You go to them now, and they'll be, oh, we got you. We can get that done. So
Okay.
that would be it.
During COVID, this is to all of you. Let's go back to the COVID. I mean, what are some of the, I know, can I speak for Demisha? I know she's looking to expand her services as far as the mobile, and then you have the nonprofit piece going into the homes with the disability. So that means she wants to expand it. What are some of the things that she should be looking at in expansion during this COVID time?
Well, the first thing she has to come up with in her mind, if she's expanding specifically because of the virus issues, how does she decompress when the virus is not an issue? Unless that particular business, just kept booming to now everybody wants their hair done at home. But right now the virus is there, so she's got a great customer base who have the need of her service. But like I said, in a year or 2 years when this goes down, what did she do to expand? How can she decompress? Because that income stream is not going to be the same income stream.
Okay.
And I want to add, what's it going to mean financially? Get a handle on the costs involved in doing that. I would imagine PPE is going to be a big issue. So just look at the costs, sources and uses of the cash. So.
May I say,
yes,
I want to talk
please.
a little bit about the expansion. One of the expansions is to have a home-based salon for the disabled, handicap accessible. So not only are we going mobile, we have a statute location. So if the mobile starts to go down, then we have a statute location and we can go pick some people up and bring them in. And I would like to work. Another question is, how would I get contracts with the government? Because I know there's senior centers, group homes, DODD, where I can get in a position to get contracts to come out and service those young women and men.
So what are some of the ways for her to build the part of certification to get contracting?
I would always suggest that you start local. Okay. Start local with the local government and whatever it is they have control over. Then move up to the state. As you start to build your capacity, now you have the capability to do business for the state, for state prisons, state, homes, MRDD. Then you come to the federal government now that you have had your niche and your hands in, the other bottom level of government, so that you have the capacity to do business with the federal government. Okay. Everybody can't do business with the federal. Right. That's the other big key. And people try to jump in real quick. Let me get certified, and I want to do business with the federal government, and they don't have the capacity. We do have assistance for that. It's called the Ohio PTAC, Procurement Assistance Center. So depending on what you're doing, contact us, contact our office. If you're in Kentucky, you're going to end up contacting our Cincinnati branch office anyway, and let them talk with you about your specific case and what it is that you're trying to do, so that, again, when you go in and you ask for a loan, if you have to get a loan, you know, the bankers aren't going to be laughing at you at the, you know, the water cooler because, you know, you wanted $27 million, you know, when you could actually done it for $5 million. I don't know what it would be,
Right.
but, you know, they need to know what you're going to do with the money, how you going to pay it. Bottom line, always.
Okay. So to recap, it's starting off the baby steps. It's starting off with the city of, we talked about that, the city of Louisville or the state. I know with disabilities and anything with job and family services or anything like that, that's more of a county and state. So if I'm hearing you right, Barry, you're saying maybe starting to contracting with those municipalities first.
Right.
Build your capacity like you're doing. Right. Because she is doing it already. She's doing it. She's so humble. She's really doing the darn thing in Louisville with that population. So track that. Speaking of tracking, maybe that's a Terry question. What are some of the things we as, not just her, but all of us business owners, even this COVID, track these clients or track what we're doing? What are they looking at as far as tracking? Is there a software we need to get, or how do we show our traction?
No, I'm quite not understanding necessarily the question of tracking necessarily. I think one thing that we do, we track success and the number of contracts and the number of businesses that do business in the federal government, but I'm not sure I'm really understand the question. I mean, what are you looking to get at the end of the?
How does she track the number of clients? If she does, I mean, if she gets some minor contracts, let's say just starting off on the city side or personal one-on-ones, like now you're doing some disabled families or people, but it's Autism Foundation. Are you looking for some type of software package for them to be able to track how many they've done in a month? How many, you see what I'm saying? Because most anything Govy, they want some type of tracking system with these clients or with this program, right? I mean, how could she do that?
Well, I would say, I mean, in starting a business and running a business, you definitely have to have a great insurance person. We do suggest that you find an attorney that you can trust to look over contracts, but also most importantly, an accountant. You know, so when you talk about tracking data, tracking your numbers, your expenditures, on our side of the fence, you know, when you come to the SBA or a bank for a SBA backed loan, we're going to look at your numbers, your bottom line, and basically how well you've accounted for your expenses. So I would say definitely an accountant would be one of the key components in, you know, how do you measure your success over time and where you plan on, you know, moving your business to. We do have some great, I always say the SBDC, both, you know, that's where Jerome worked at one point too, but our SBDC counselors, SCORE, definitely connect with SCORE counselors there in Cincinnati. Those are our centers that we fund, and we definitely promote those. But also the Women Business Center. You'll find that you'll have so many resources within those centers that would help you connect with some of those professional services, but also help network your business. I mean, because that's a part of, you know, growing and expanding is, you know, finding out where that next niche is going to be within those groups. So, but as far as tracking, I say definitely having a good accountant to work with you and your numbers. But we don't, you know, again, we don't necessarily recommend or endorse any particular software that you could think of.
Good job, Deputy.
I'm not trying to get you in trouble.
Right.
I do have one more question.
Please.
Credit criteria, because I do know, although it's a business, they're looking at your personal credit. What type of credit score? What type of things are you looking for on a business owner's personal credit to get? Let's just say a $15,000 loan, whatever. What kind of credit score are we looking at?
So
So,
on the credit score, SBA doesn't have a credit score. That decision is left to the bank.
Okay.
So they would look at it the way they would look at a non-SBA backed loan.
Okay.
You will never get a banker to tell you a number. Now, I can tell you that if it's 400, it's just going to be no. But you're never going to get a banker to say, well, if it's 585, no problem, because there are a lot of things that play into the score.
Right.
And sometimes there are lenders who are more lenient based upon what those things are than others. I will also say that ECDI, Economic and Community Development Institute, and in Cincinnati, the Women's Business Center and ECDI are all one. They're all in one center. And having been their VP of lending for a while, they are more lenient on credit score than the traditional bank. And they will do a $15,000 loan, where typically a bank, they don't want to do a $15,000 loan. They just don't get that kind of a return because it has to go into the same machine that a $150,000 or a $1 million loan has to go into. So banks even fund ECDI to do some of those loans. So, that's you're never going to get anyone to say a hard and fast number, but I would start working with them, and because a lot of the time there are things that you can do to mitigate or offset the things that may be dragging your score down. It all depends on what those things are.
Mm-hmm.
So medical bills are one thing that could drag your score down, but a lender may look at that and say, well, okay, if I had a $25,000 medical bill, I couldn't pay that either. So, there are things that.
Student loans too.
well,
So student loans with the SBA.
I mean, that are not in default.
We're all
As
cousins.
far as balance
Yeah.
debt to ratio.
Oh, okay, yeah, that may play
Let me
into
read.
it, but again, it depends on the lender. I would, definitely ask around. I would definitely start with ECDI and see, because of the loan amount. If you told me 150,000, that's a little different, but for 15,000, 20,000, 25,000, their sweet spot is still right around $25,000, $30,000. So that fits squarely into their world. So I would check with them.
However, if you have defaulted on a student loan, you cannot get an SBA loan. So you're going to have to know that. If you defaulted on any federal loan product, however that might be, and student loan is actually federal, you cannot get an SBA loan. The bank still may lend you, but it won't be SBA backed.
I think if you have a payment plan and that payment plan has been, and you've demonstrated the ability to repay for a while, you couldn't do it like, well, I just got it last week. You have to demonstrate that you have been paying on it for a while. That may help. Again, it could be one of those mitigating factors.
Right. Okay. Anything else that you want to ask these gentlemen while we have these big brains?
From what you heard from me, what is your opinion about this business? Do you think it's a good idea? Well, I've been doing this since 2004, so and it has been profitable. It's been putting food on my table and things like that. But as far as me moving forward, what's your opinion? What do you think? Would you utilize
Well, they can't endorse a business.
No. Okay. I just want to know, like, you think it's a good idea?
I would say this. I would say that what you're doing is perfect for this time, right now. I mean, you just fell into the perfect opportunity for what's happening to be able to mobily go do hair. Now you're not exposing people. You're doing all the sanitary things. You're good to go. Your question earlier about expanding. I mean, yeah, you can expand, but then there's a time frame of that expansion. How much does that expansion cost? And will my profits allow me now to go expand again later?
Right.
So I think you're doing everything perfect. You know, when you're coming up to Columbus and take care of Jerome and my beer.
She got Smells on wheels.
Got my peppers in the car.
I want to add this too. If you factor in that the average business doesn't even make it a year for several reasons, and you've been doing it for what, 16 years now?
Yeah.
That in and of itself says something. So, definitely keep that in mind. And, you've been doing it. You've handled the highs and the lows. And I can tell you, living in a house with 3 women, hair must get done. So. I have never seen him say, well, you know what, I'm going to bypass that. So I think you're in an industry that is pretty safe to be in. So.
Yeah, because actually the hair care industry is really one of the more consistent
There you go.
industries.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yes, it is.
So
During COVID though, there were a lot of blank screens.
I was
Agreed.
Everybody was like, I'm locked down. I'm locked down. I'm just gonna put a picture up there.
An emoji.
So you're at the right time, Demisha. We got you at the right time.
Hey, I was just gonna make it real. Mr. Gates stalked her. Like, do I gotta give you some gas? Do I gotta gas it up? Just keeping it real, telling my truth. This has been wonderful. Truthfully Speaking Grace podcast. This is why I do what I do, because this young, powerful young lady told her truth, and these wonderful, handsome men gave truth. And I really appreciate your time and your effort on this podcast. Again, audience, look for another podcast with SBA and possibly another consulting group to talk about more on the IDOL, is it PPE and all of that good stuff later. Also want to put out there that we're going to do a big virtual youth summit called The Truth, Economic Empowerment for Our Youth. It's going to be phenomenal, and I'm going to speak more about that. That's going to be coming up in September. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Jerome. And thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Brother Barry.
Thank you.
And thank you, Miss Demisha Webster, for coming in on the studio and making this happen and telling us your truth, that I don't care what is going on in your life. If you got a passion, and you got a mission and a vision, go make it happen. Absolutely. And bring your family with you. Okay.
Can I say this? Can I say this just in final closing from the SBA standpoint? We are here to help small businesses in every way possible with both lending and making connections with growing their company. So that's why we are here, and it's our passion. And it's great to work with both Jerome and Barry, who have passion to help companies like yours, Demisha, be successful. So thank you for this opportunity, Agatha, for even putting it together.
It's Agatha, but I forgive you. I've been called Agatha, Gula, Agusha, Agatha.
No. I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's okay. I've got a big sense of humor, but it's Agatha. But thank you, Terry, and thank you for allowing your team to come on this show. And I thank you in advance for future efforts on educating our community about small business and their resources. Okay? Have a great weekend, audience.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for listening to Truthfully Speaking Grace podcast. Stay tuned for another episode with more real conversations, celebrating real and inspiring people from all around the world.